12 birthdays of Vince. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
David Andrew.
Oh, no.
Upon his first birthday at the tender age of 4, Vince was wandering the fields of the family farm and came across a bull named Ferdinand. Vince watched this bull for hours on end as a young child and developed quite the admiration for this bull. Now, as it comes to be, Ferdinand wasn't quite your normal bull. It possessed a never-ending appetite, which was followed by a considerable amount of bullshit. But nonetheless, this bull had an effect on Vince, and it would drive the course of his life. He decided that Ferdinand would be his bull, and from this day on, he would share his stories of his bull. Upon his second birthday, while attending class, Vince's teacher brought out a new book to read to the class. This book was entitled, The Story of Ferdinand. Upon hearing this, Vince leapt to his feet and said, "I know this bull. He lives in our pasture. He eats a lot, and he produces a lot of bullshit too." The class busted out laughing, and the teacher assigned Vince to the penalty bench, where he was to think about his disruption of the class. Though for once in his life, his side of the story may have been true, this event had a lasting effect on his life. He had made someone laugh, and he liked it. So instead of thinking about the action that put him on the penalty bench, he just ate his lunch instead and thought of some more stories about his bull. Upon his third birthday, Vince was getting very clever about his bull stories and his ability to make people laugh. He decided to share his evolving talent with his friends Glenn and Todd while they sat together on the penalty bench at school. Glenn and Todd were fascinated with Vince's ability to talk about bull and his outstanding knowledge of bull, but in Vince's mind, they never could live up to his level of bull stories. So Vince decided then and there, while scarfing down a little Debbie, he would become a one-man bull show. Upon his fourth birthday, Vince, like most boys of his age, were thinking about cars, jobs, and girls. But Vince didn't stop there. He was still very much focused on his bull. One night, he snuck into the Shady Inn for some free dinner. And while there, he came across an article in the Farmer's Monthly magazine talking about how to get the most out of your bull. Vince was enthralled and could not put the magazine down. It went on to say that if you mixed up the feed a little and threw in a few other materials, your bull could take on new proportions. These are words that Vince thought he could live by: feed, materials, and portions, all to enhance his bull. Upon his fifth birthday, sadly to say that Ferdinand had died, this was a real blow to Vince. So he thought that the only way he could make up for the loss of his prize bull was to purchase another bull. This would give him another bull to tell stories about, and he thought, the more bull, the better. So he raided Grandma's fridge for road snacks and headed off to Dinky's to buy another bull. This adventures to Dinky's would also prove to have a lasting impression on Vince. He was amazed to just how fast the auctioneer could talk about their bull. "Wow," Vince exclaimed, "if I could learn to talk faster, I could share a lot more of my bull stories with everyone." Upon his sixth birthday, Vince had mastered the art of telling his bull stories at such a fast rate, it started to make the town people wonder just how a small town kid could raise his bull to such a high level. But that was Vince. He was proud of his bull and his willingness to share his bull with anyone who would listen. And he always told his bull stories while sitting around the dinner table. Upon his seventh birthday, Vince now had a countrywide reputation for his bull stories. There were not too many people who didn't know of Vince's bull. He was once pulled over for speeding, and when the cop asked what was his hurry, Vince explained that he needed to get home and feed his bull. The cop looked at him and said, "Hey, you're the kid filled with all the bull stories." Vince acknowledged the compliment and was thrilled to be recognized for his bull story. So he continued on with his bull story about needing to rush home to feed his bull. To this day, Vince can't explain why for the next 24 hours he had to tell his bull stories to people who seemed not to care. Neither could the other inmates. Upon his 8th birthday, much to his amazement, his favorite sister Angie, brought home to the farm a guy from the city. Vince was happy with his newfound pigeon. This guy had never heard my bull stories, Vince thought. I could not relate bull stories to him, but stories that go way beyond the bull to every aspect of the farm and farm life. Intrigued and bewildered and added to somewhat naive and gullible fool, the city guy ate up all of Vince's bull stories. Until one day he thought, man, I don't know anyone from the city that knows so much about bull as Vince. And to this day, he still thinks Vince is top bull man. Upon his 9th birthday, Vince was so enthralled about teaching his knowledge of bull to the city guy, he decided to expand the wealth of his gift to his nephews and nieces. What better place to teach the innocent pupils about bull than from a bar stool of the local New Boston Tavern, while eating lunch and chasing it down with a cold beer. While in the midst of telling his stories, it just so happened that the president rector of the Abbey was there for lunch as well, and was listening intently to Vince. He also couldn't miss the fact that the two of the kids soaking up every word Vince was saying belonged to his secretary, Karen. True story in the law. Rumor has it that shortly afterward he gave his secretary a substantial raise and told her to spend it on adequate daycare for the future well-being of her children. Upon his 10th birthday, Vince was contemplating on taking his bull to the fair. As it turns out, the fair has added a special senior bull division for adults to their list of prize-winning categories. Needless to say that once Vince started talking bull with the judges, they immediately rolled up their pant legs and overwhelmingly gave the grand champion ribbon to Vince. Subsequently, they also dissolved the award for the next year's fair, knowing that nobody could ever top Vince's bull. Upon his 11th birthday, Vince was contacted by the English department of the local community college. Seems that they wanted to expand their English curriculum and had heard of Vince. They contacted him and said that they needed someone to teach their new class, The Art of Talking Bull, and he came highly recommended. Vince jumped at the chance but was quickly dismayed that he lasted only 3 classes and was let go. It appeared that teaching about bull from the front seat of a Ford pickup full of empty beer cans and chewing tobacco with a loaded .22 rifle lying on the floorboard was not part of the school's attended class. Nonetheless, Vince made the most out of his severance pay, went out for lunch, and still had enough left over to buy another bull. Upon his 12th birthday, Vince now had 2 bulls, and quite often he pondered the thought, to bull or not to bull? But after so many years of telling his stories about his bull, he thought that for the sake of all mankind to continue, he felt a deep sense of being in sharing his bovine tales. We must all agree that when it comes to spreading bull stories, Vince wrote the book. So many times we wonder if his bull stories are true or fabricated, but when you come right down to it, who cares? It's Vince. And we're all happy that he hasn't had the chance to celebrate all 48 birthdays. Happy birthday, Vince.